So, we're gonna go ahead with Skin in the Game by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. And I just remind myself of the fact that I need my pop filter thing. It's actually insane. Like everything that I'm using, it wasn't for free, but I got it. So in theory, it is free. So I got the phone from my brother, the PC from my parents. So shout out to everyone that's supporting on this journey. Actually, the last phone, which is this one, I've bought this myself. It's not been that expensive. I think $350 back in the days. Now it is like, I don't know, $50. It's actually 9 years old, I guess, or even 10 years at this point in time, which is quite something. But it is not what this episode is all about, because we're going to go through the book. And we're going to go ahead with book 7, or actually chapter 7. I don't actually know why he's calling it books. But yeah, it is about religion, belief, and skin in the game. To summarize, in a Judeo-Christian place of worship, the focal point where the priest stands symbolizes skin in the game. The notion of belief without sacrifice, which is tangible proof, is new in history. The strength of a creed did not rest on evidence, quote unquote, of the powers of its gods, but evidence of the skin in the game on the parts of its worship. I don't actually know why he's cranking the fans up that much, but it's hopefully going to be fine. It's hopefully really going to be fine. At no point during the emergency period did the drivers of the ambulance consider taking John Paul II to a chapel for a prayer or some equivalent form of intercession with the Lord to give the sacred first right of refusal for the treatment. While they devote less of their time to what they believe is not quote-unquote religion, many atheists engage in yoga and similar collective activities or sit in concert halls in awe and silence. You can't even smoke a cigar or shout by orders on your cell phone. Spending considerable time doing what to a Martian would look like similar ritualistic gestures. I don't know. I think he's very black and white. In terms of a lot of things, and I've also seen it yesterday as well. I don't remember the point, but I just kind of feel like that he's often pretty much black and white. Because, yes, indeed, if somebody is very religious, does this then completely mean that they're not going to do any yoga or any other type of meditation? Maybe meditation, indeed not, because it is more or less associated with a certain religion or certain religions, which is not going to be Christianity. And, for example, just as far as I know, as far as I've also seen it. But the thing is, does this really mean that they're not gonna just engage in whatever activity? I don't know. I don't believe so. I don't really believe so. So yeah. Let us take stock here. There are people who are atheists in actions, religious in words, most Orthodox and Catholic Christians, and others who are religious in actions, religious in words, Salafi Islamists and suicide bombers. But I know of nobody who is atheist in both actions and words, completely devoid of rituals, respect for the dead, and superstitions. Say I believe in economics or in the miraculous power of the mighty state and its institutions. And this is totally the case. We all believe in something. And I do believe, which is an extremely great point, we all do respect the dead. And we all do devote also a certain amount of time to caring about the dead, but it is taking care of the grave, whether it is just actually thinking about them and or just grieving. Indeed. So, even though you're an atheist, there's still going to be something that you're believing in, whether it is indeed the economy or whether it is indeed something else like karma, which does not have anything to do with any religion at my point of view. Of course, it is associated, but it's not like just, you know what I mean? It's not like just... if you believe in karma, you're just automatically Buddhist or something else. I don't actually know. I think it is. No, it's not Buddhism. Or is it? I don't remember. I'm sorry. I really don't remember. But the thing is, I think it is a great point. And what I've been reminding myself of is that I should indeed highlight things. Because this is something that I started to do. And it is actually an amazing thing. Because I'm having just such a huge collection of notes or highlights, and they are all really amazing. And I've unfortunately forgotten about it, which is a fucked up thing, which is also the reason why I'm going to go through a book in the next episode as well, because I want to have more stuff, because I then can also share more stuff, which is then basically a summary of the summary, which is pretty cool because you're just saving more time. And there's actually, I don't know, there's so many different ones. It's actually insane. Book 8, which is also going to be the last book, Risk and Rationality. My friend Rory Sutherland claims that the real function of swimming pool is to allow the middle class to sit around in bathing suits without looking ridiculous. Same with New York restaurants. You think their mission is to feed people, but that is not what they are about. They are in the business of overcharging you for liquor or great Tuscan wines by the glass, yet get you in the door by serving your low carb or low something dishes at break even cost. I don't know. Like, I've been also talking yesterday about the fact that I would actually like to have a restaurant or some kind of a coffee shop or cafe. I think, yeah, it is. I think cafe. Because I think it is a great thing. I mean, it is a very quote unquote easy way to make people pretty happy, you know, if you're just serving them good food. But I would rather go for the more premium stuff. It might be really like just a cliche, you know, that people are always going to go for the premium stuff, you know, we're going to make a luxurious brand and these and that and these and those. But I indeed have to say, like, it makes more sense, you know, because I think as a cook or as a chef, which I'm not, by the way, I would also be happier to do so, you know, because I just don't have to use the baddest shit for cooking. Of course, there is what is it called? There is, I mean, people are going to expect more of the food and are going to expect more of me. But I mean, we can present it in a pretty good way. You know, we can present it in just various great ways that is going to then stand for the price in terms of like, okay, if they see how it is presented, if it is tasting really well and whatnot, then okay, I'm gonna pay the price for that. And I think it is actually indeed a lot about the experience that you're having going into such a restaurant. You know, there has to be a waiter, there has to be like just really nice forks and really nice knives and all these things and very formal things. The language is also going to be a different one, you know, especially, I don't know, when you're just ordering from the menu, then it's not going to be like, okay, you have a steak and they can have just potato wedges and that's fucking it. This is really fucking McDonald's shit. But it's rather going to be like, you're going to have just very nicely, well, I don't actually know, like you're going to use some French words and then it is fine. Which is actually something pretty interesting, you know, that is just so easily done, kind of. Easily, quote unquote. Like, chefs are amazing. There's a lot of fucking stress in the kitchen and this is something that I just do have to say, like, I have respect. Survival comes first, truth, understanding, and science later. In other words, you do not need science to survive. We have survived for several 100 million years or more, depending on how you define the we, but you must survive to do science, which is also a very, very interesting thing. It is therefore my opinion that religion exists to enforce tail risk management across generations, as it is binary and unconditional rules are easy to teach and enforce. We have survived in spite of tail risks. Our survival cannot be that random. Kind of indeed. The only definition of rationality that I found that is practically, empirically, and mathematically rigorous is the following. What is rational is what which allows for survival. Unlike modern theories by psychophastas, it maps to the physical way of thinking. Anything that hinders one's survival at an individual, collective, tribal, or general level is to me irrational. And it kind of also makes sense, to be honest, like indeed. When you consider beliefs in evolutionary terms, do not look at how they compete with each other, but consider the survival of the population that have them. The problem with highlighting is that I highlight way too much because I think that a lot of things are just really important. Or perhaps an ecological reason, pigs compete with humans in eating the same vegetables while cows eat what we don't eat. Well, I don't get the point, but it is indeed as well something, and I've been talking about it just in the past 2 episodes as well. It is something that I would have never ever thought about. You know, it is actually indeed something that only Taleb is kind of thinking about. Not only, but you know what I mean. It's definitely not me. Rationality does not depend on explicit verbalistic explanatory factors. It is only what aids survival, what avoids ruin. Why? Clearly, as we see in the Lindy discussion, not everything that happens for a reason, but everything that survives for a reason. This is amazing. Amazing quote. That is called the first set assembled probability and the second one time probability, since the first is concerned with a collection of people and the second with a single person through time. Now, When you read material by finance professors, finance gurus, and your local bank making investment recommendations based on the long-term returns of the market, beware. Even if their forecasts were true, they aren't. No individual can get the same returns as the market unless he has infinite pockets and no uncle points. Anyone who has survived in a risk-taking business more than a few years has some version of our by now familiar principle that in order to succeed, you must first survive. My own has been, never cross a river if it is on average 4 feet deep. Well, I think it is actually a good idea, to not do that, I guess. To take stock, a situation is deemed not ergodic when observed past probabilities do not apply to future processes. There is a stop somewhere in absorbing barrier that prevents people with skin in the game from emerging from it, and to which the system will invariably tend. Let us call these situations ruins, or ruin, quote unquote, as there is no reversibility away from the condition. The central problem is that if there is a possibility of ruin, cost-benefit analyses are no longer possible, which I guess makes sense. Assume a collection of people play Russian roulette a single time for $1 million. This is the central story and fooled by randomness. About 5 out of 6 will make money. If someone used a standard cost-benefit analysis, he would have claimed that one has an 83.33% chance of gains for an expected average return per cost of $833.33 thousand. But if you keep playing Russian roulette, you will end up in the cemetery. Yes, your expected return is not computable. Also very interesting. In my war with the Monsanto machine, the advocates of genetically modified organisms, transgenics, kept countering me with benefits analyses, which were often bogus and doctored up, not tail risk analysis for repeated exposures. It's going to be, as far as I can tell, and because he's also pointed out, not tail risk analysis for repeated exposures, which I think means that, okay, there is going to be benefits of, to really be honest, there's definitely going to be benefits of having genetically modified food. 100%, there's going to be something, whether it is just, it's more easily to be prepared in terms of, or grown, to specify that, or it is, you get more out of it, it is more efficient in terms of that, and all sorts of things. And maybe for one-time exposure, there is not going to be any health risks or not that many health risks. But as he's also pointing it out, which I think is the point there, if you're just exposing yourself to these foods for just a couple of times and a lot of times, then it is, I don't know, it's probably not going to be good. It's really probably not going to be good. So yeah, I just know what he's referring to, and I think at least. Psychologists determine our paranoia or risk aversion by subjecting a person to a single experiment, then declare that humans are rationally challenged as there is an innate tendency to overestimate small probabilities. They manage to believe that their subjects will never ever again take any personal tail risk. Yes, indeed. I think, first of all, it comes up to the person, obviously, and we have to kind of have studies that really take into account that there's different ethnicities, there's different cultures, there's just different people. But it is indeed the case. I mean, if I've done a bad decision, a risky bad decision the day before, then I'm not going to make a risky bad decision, or at least a risky decision, the next day as well. Because it wouldn't make any sense. Why would I? At least for me, the chance, funny enough, to also do that then is way lower, because I've already had a bad experience with making a bad decision in the really recent past. So yeah, smoking a single cigarette is extremely benign. So cost-benefit analysis would deem it irrational to give up so much pleasure for so little risk. But it is the act of smoking that kills at a certain number of packs per year or tens of thousands of cigarettes. In other words, repeated serial exposure. So yes, it is indeed actually about what I thought it is about, which is nice. I know that I'm also getting what I'm reading. It's amazing. Fuck it. In real life, every single bit of risk you take adds up to reduce your life expectancy. If you climb mountains and ride motorcycle and hang around the mob and fly your own small plane and drink absinthe and smoke cigarettes and play parkour on Thursday night, your life expectancy is considerably reduced, although no single action will have meaningful effect. This idea of repetition makes paranoia about some low probability events even that's deemed pathological perfect rationale. I believe that risk aversion does not exist. What we observe is simply a residual of ergodicity. People are simply trying to avoid financial suicide and take a certain attitude to tail risks. To use the ergodic framework, my death at Russian roulette is not ergodic for me, but it is ergodic for the system. What does ergodic mean? Relating to or denoting systems or process with the property that given sufficient time, they include or impinge on all points in given space and can be represented statistically by a reasonable large sections of points. I do want... Well, okay, there's no German translation. Thank you, motherfucker. I have a finite shelf life. What humanity should have an infinite duration, or I'm renewable, not humanity or the ecosystem. What I have a finite shelf life, yes, obviously. Humanity should have an infinite duration. It could actually. Or I am renewable, not humanity or the ecosystem. Yes, it would make sense. Would make sense. Because in the end, humanity is still going to be just infinite. It's just not going to be us reproducing, but it's just us always being there. Quite. Courage, according to the Greek ideal that Aristotle inherited from Homer and conveyed by Solon, Pericles, and Thucydides, is never a selfish action. Courage is when you sacrifice your own well-being for the sake of the survival of a layer higher than yours. It's indeed. All risks are not equal. We often hear that Ebola is causing fewer deaths than people drowning in the bathtubs or something of the sort based on quote-unquote evidence. This is another class of problems that your grandmother can get, but the semi-educated cannot. Does this mean that every grandmother is really educated? I don't know. Never compare a multiplicative system and fat-tailed risk to a non-multiplicative, idiosyncratic and thin-tailed one. Yeah. The Chernoff bound can be explained as follows. The probability that the number of people who drown in the bathtubs in the United States doubles next year, assuming no changes in population of bathtubs, is 1 per several trillions lifetimes of the universe. This cannot be said about the doubling of the number of people killed by terrorism over the same period. Fair. That's fair. Just consider that. It is possible for 1 billion people to sleep with Kim Kardashian, even her. Yes. But that there is a non-zero probability that a multiplicative process, a pandemic, causes such a number of Ebola deaths. Very interesting thoughts. Very, very interesting thoughts. One may be risk-loving, yet completely averse to ruin. The central asymmetry of life is, in a strategy that entails ruin, benefits never offsets risks of ruin. Yeah, I don't know. Why would you go for something that's really gonna just really fuck with you? Ruin and other changes in condition are different animals. Every single risk you take adds up to reduce your life expectancy, and rationality is avoidance of systematic ruin. Which I think just makes sense, isn't it? As I said, you don't want to ruin your life. Of course, there's going to be some things that you're going to do that are not that smart, but they're not going to ruin you. Period. Epilogue, which is going to be the very last bit of it. No muscles without strength, friendship without trust, opinion without consequence, change without aesthetics, age without values, life without effort, water without thirst, food without nourishment, love without sacrifice, power without fairness, facts without rigor, statistics without logic, mathematics without proof, teaching without experience, politeness without warmth, values without embodiment, degrees without erudition, militarism without fortitude, progress without civilization, friendship without investment, virtue without risk, probability without ergodicity, wealth without exposure, complication without depth, fluency without content, decision without asymmetry, science without skepticism, religion without tolerance, and most of all, nothing without skin in the game. Pretty nice. I've just dearly enjoyed this whole book, and maybe I'm gonna find another book by him because I really like his stuff. It is insane. I just truly appreciate his writings. They are amazing. They just clearly are amazing. I'm just not gonna lie. They're really good. But I would actually like to go through the other ones as well and just pick some things there. And I want to just add it to my highlights. But it's really some work, to go through all of that once again. So I might be flying over it or something. But yeah, anyway. I'm still having some auto encoding issues, but I don't know why. Maybe it's just because of motherfucking Chrome, which seems to be just so fucking resource averse. Is this the right word you use? I don't actually know. I really don't. Anyway, I do wish you the best health, happiness, and also success. And also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, and basically means just being a nice person, and then also being remembered as a nice person, which is a pretty cool thing. Let's actually use the ultra once again. 3 other questions that I'm having you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, which is a pretty cool thing. Yeah. Something else to consider is this question. What could you essentially say? I know you can also build things, you can make things, you can just do things, but what could you essentially say that is really going to make somebody's day? Think about it, please. And yeah, with that being said, I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. Bye-bye. Please stay calm and everything else. And kind. Calm and kind. And I'm going to see you the next time. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really, truly appreciate that. I'll see you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is what it's saying. Motherfucker.